Welcome back, Padawans, to the Jedi Gaming Academy channel. And today, I guess I have a Jedi Mind Trick for you. This is pretty much going to be my first impressions, my initial impressions of Spider-Man 2 for the PS5, baby. I have been waiting for this game. So again, I think we're going to say this is a Jedi Mind Trick as I try to incentivize you or convince you that this is a game that you need to pick up and play. You know what I'm saying? If you got a PS5 and you don't know what to play right now, Spider-Man 2 just dropped. I think this is it. I think this is it for you, all right? But I have been waiting for this game. This game is immaculate, all right? We're already going to get it out of the way. It's fantastic. I've only played for 5 hours, and it's fantastic, all right? And that's the thing. I knew it was going to be. There was no if, and, or buts in my head that this game wasn't going to be great. You know what I mean? Now, again, we're only 5 hours in, so it should temper the expectations a little bit, but I've seen what Insomniac does. They are the GOATs right now, and we're not just talking about PlayStation studios. We're talking out of every gaming studio that's putting out games right now. In my opinion, I feel like Insomniac Games is the best developer in this space right now, and that's because they don't miss. Whatever project they're working on, it comes out with little to no flaws, if anything at all, and it is flawless, as I just stated. And I just can't get around the fact that they have figured out a way to combine performance mode at 60 frames per second and the ray tracing, all right? If you're able to get both of those into a mode that is perfect for what you're doing in the game, yeah, like they figured it out. They cracked the code with Miles Morales a couple months after launch, and then they brought that mode over to Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Now, this is called Performance RT mode is what we're referring to, or what I'm referring to. However, in this game, it's not called, there is no Performance RT mode. It's just baked into the normal performance mode. They figured it out that much to where they can just have this game run in performance mode, and it's going to be perfect for every single person who's involved in it. So, I have been waiting for this game. It's one of the reasons that I had to go and get the PS5 first and foremost out the gate, because there's nothing that I could do. There was absolutely nothing that I wanted to play on Xbox that was going to beat out Spider-Man, at least in my heart. You know what I mean? So when we had the option of, okay, do you want to go Xbox or do you want to go PlayStation? Definitely went with PlayStation because I knew Spider-Man 2 is down the road at some point somewhere, you know? So let's jump into this initial impression of mine here, all right, guys? So I want to touch on a few things here. I want to touch on gameplay number 1, moment-to-moment gameplay. I want to touch on the story a little bit, and I also want to touch on the characters as well as how the side content and the main content kind of come into play with each other, because it's very similar. It feels it feels unique to Spider-Man, what we've seen out of 2018 Spider-Man and Miles Morales. It does seem similar to those, but it also is more fluidic, or it's more fluid. So I think that when we get to that part of the conversation, you'll understand why I'm kind of going about this. But the gameplay, the moment-to-moment gameplay, it's solid. All right, I'm just gonna say that right now. It's very, very good, and the reason why is because of the traversal. Okay, so we already knew that we were going to be getting the web wings, but they are, at least from what I was not privy to the fact that we were going to have wind tunnels throughout, New York City and the Bronx and all those other districts that we have. It makes the gameplay and the traversal around the city so much faster. You would think it's faster just with the web wings themselves, right? When you're able to glide around the city. But adding in those wind tunnels, and then they also have an upward wind tunnel that will kind of push you up, so that way you can maintain your momentum as well as the height that you have while you're gliding. So you can really get far, into the city just by gliding. And I really, really appreciate the fact that they are giving us some options, some different options. First of all, shout out to the web wings. The fact that we're getting web wings that I have really only seen in the comic books, except for when they were debuted in Homecoming, or in Spider-Man Homecoming for the MCU. Other than that, I haven't seen web wings at all. And I love that we are now getting them here, and they're not only here, but they are a focal point of traversal here. Not only that, yes, we have the web wings, and yes, you might want to just, web wing around all the time, but you, number one, are going to lose momentum at some point. You're not going to have, a plethora of these tunnels, these wind, the wind tunnels and whatnot. You're not going to have a lot of that. So, unfortunately, there are going to be moments where you are going to have to start swinging again. But what I found is that it's very seamless when you're switching from the gliding to web swinging, and it adds an extra bit of traversal and an extra bit of like kind of like a puzzle in a sense. You know what I mean? Not like a legit puzzle, but like kind of how do you as Spider-Man, how do you want to get around the world? You know, and you can jump back and forth between swinging and gliding, and it's very seamless, almost as seamless as switching characters. And we will get to that in a second, but the switching characters was a lot faster than what I expected, and it definitely is a huge addition to this title. But again, we will get there. Don't you worry, all right? But they've also added the criminal activities. Now, we've already had that in the previous game, but they were more of like, when you had them, it wasn't, they were scripted. And these are scripted as well, don't get me wrong. But they were like, you had specific things that you went and did, and then that was just it. Once you're done with those, then that's it. You know, you have a certain amount that you do to get to, clearing out that district. And these don't feel like that. However, I don't think that they're that different, from the previous games. It just feels more organic. You know what I mean? So as things are going on, first of all, I've already seen different kinds of, different criminal activity that you have to interject in. But the one thing that we've seen across the board in 2018 and in Miles Morales are car stops, right? Stopping the vehicle whenever they're trying to run away. And it was the same in, all of the car chases were the same in Spider-Man 2018. And they were very similar in Miles Morales as well. But here, they kind of do something a little different. So you're just swinging, right? You're swinging, and then as you swing, you just turn a corner, and then bam, the car is right there. You know what I mean? Like, it's bouncing and weaving through traffic and everything, and it's hitting people, and you have to stop it. So as you go and you start to do it, yes, you do have the usual suspects. You touch down, you're touching triangle to do your web attack so that you can get close to, or web zip, so you can get close to the, on the roof of the car, and then you take out the one enemy who shoots at you first, but then something different happens. And I don't know if it's going to happen every single time like this, but you web everybody in the car. Everyone. You press the one prompt that tells you go, frick, you get every single person in the car, and then you just stop the vehicle. You jump to the front and stop it like normal. I was like, it's different. It's different, but it's also the same. Like, it's less work to get to the same outcome, and it also makes it look like, oh, Peter's used to doing this because obviously we know how many times we did it in the previous game. So I thought that part was pretty cool. But again, moment-to-moment gameplay here, on point. It's very, very good. And I will say too, the very first time that you start swinging in the city, I literally howled when we first started swinging for the first time in here. And I think it was like, we're back. It's like I'm back with an old friend. Guys, it's like, I love these games so much. I love the Spider-Man series that Insomniac has done. Like, Miles Morales as well was just a perfect, jump into this next generation, or this current generation of gaming. And to see that we get now Spider-Man back and they're both doing their own thing, it really felt like I was, getting back with old friends, and we're just kind of catching up. And I really appreciated that, and especially just how important that first swing is in every Spider-Man game, that first swing, and they just knocked it out of the park here. And you just gotta play it to understand what I'm saying, but when you hit R2 for the first time in this game, I feel like you're gonna get giddy with excitement too. You know what I'm saying? But all right, let's move over to characters, as I've kind of been touching on a little bit here, as we were talking. But I very, very much have been looking forward to the dynamic between Miles and Peter Parker here, because that we haven't really gotten to see a whole lot of it. We got to see a little bit of the mentorship in the first game, but that was more of Peter mentoring Miles. And then towards the end of that game is when, obviously Miles got his powers, so we started to see a tad bit of like, okay, Peter's gonna have to transition into Spider-Man tutor. You know what I mean? And then we got Miles Morales. Now in Miles, Peter is there, but he's not there like all the time. So you get like, I think maybe 2 or 3 points where Miles is like, not Miles, where Pete is checking in, like actually calling, or he's there in the game, checking in on Miles and seeing like how his training's going, how he's doing mentally, physically, all that good stuff. And he just wants to make sure that Miles is good to go. But again, we didn't see a lot of that. And I was very excited to get to this game because now we're going to get all of that. We're going to see and feel that energy that they have with one another, and the partnership that they have started to build together. And it's something that is really intriguing to see that they both have their own issues, their own personal issues that they're having to deal with outside of being Spider-Man, respectively. So both of those, both of them having their personal things, back in their regular lives, that takes them away from Spider-Man duties. And when that happens, it happens again, like I said above, organically. It happens organically to the point where if, Miles is going through stuff with school, he's got a lot of work to do, so he's like, hey man, you know what? I've got stuff to do, so can you take this one? And honestly, that's not even how it happened, because it really happened with Peter was telling him Miles wanted to come with him because Miles is 17, so he just any excuse to not do what he needs to do, that's what he's gonna do, right? He's gonna want to take and jump to that opportunity. But Peter has been in his shoes before. Not only has he been in his shoes before, but he was in his shoes by himself. Miles is not by himself. Even if he can't get out, there's still another Spider-Man out there in New York City. You know what I mean? And vice versa for Peter. If Peter can't get away, we got Miles. So there is this balance of, hey, you can lean on somebody now. And that's a Spider-Man that I personally have never seen before. I've never seen a Spider-Man who fought side by side with another Spider-Man in New York City. And that's what is intriguing about this entire game without even getting so deep into it. What has intrigued me from the jump with hearing about this and seeing both Miles and Peter come up on the screen when Venom was in the alleyway, seeing both of them solidified that, okay, and again, I already had the feeling, right? We've got Miles, you already gave him his own game. I mean, what else can you do with Spider-Man 2 except put both of them in the game, bro? And the seamless switching. I am not lying, and I'm sure if you're watching me, I'm sure you've watched other videos on Spider-Man, and people have been saying, and if you've seen how it works, it does look very much like GTA. If you know GTA 5, whenever you want to change characters, all you gotta do is go to the D-pad, click the character you want, select them, and then the camera pans out. It does like 4 different pans, goes, and then you go right back into, then it moves over, and then you go down, 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 to the person that you selected. And then that's it. Now, we do a similar thing here, but I want to say, and I may be mistaken, but I want to say it's faster here in Spider-Man to swap between Miles and Peter, because there is no zoom out, of the big city. Now, again, 5 hours in, so I'm not sure if just maybe right now they're not doing it, they're just doing quick, switches, or if later on down the road, we are going to get that, or in certain, points, we'll get that zoom out and then zoom in. I'm not 100% sure as of right now. I've only played it for 5 hours. But what I can say is that at least just the act of swapping from what I am dealing with now, you have to open up your city app, which shows you all of the different criminal activity and all the different side missions and stuff like that. I think it has main missions on there too. But you slide that open, you slide to the left on the D-pad, that pops up, and then you have the option to press square to switch to the other Spider-Man. And once you do that, I think it's hold square, and then it immediately switches. I think it cuts to black for like literally 2 seconds. 2 seconds. And then bam, you're on another side of the city playing as the other Spider-Man. So I've got to say, it seems to me like it is faster. It seems like it's faster than what we got in GTA. And that's a good thing. That's a plus. And to see that this is one of the only games outside of GTA to do that character swapping, come on guys, like, how has nobody else thought to use that or utilize that feature in their games? That's a perfect way to have multiple main characters that anybody can play as whenever they want to. And I'm just saying, the customization on it too, on both of the ends, I love how they've decided to go about that. They've still split it down the middle, so you have Miles's upgrades, you have Peter's upgrades, and then you've got both of the upgrades for just Spider-Man upgrades down the middle, so that ones that they can both utilize. And I love that. Same thing with the suits. The suits are split between Peter and Miles. So they did a really good job of making sure that this is going to be, a cohesive words, guys, words. A cohesive experience whenever you're doing this and whenever you decide that you want to bounce back and forth. But the relationship that Peter and Miles have, and this last thing we're going to say on the character side of it, but the relationship that they have, it definitely feels like it's strong. You know what I mean? You can believe in this relationship that they have. There's a moment that happens towards the beginning of the game during, like, I would say, the tutorial mission, where Miles and Peter are having a discourse.
Hey. We'll put Lee back where he belongs. Promise. Don't leave me hanging.
Trying to soak over here.
Not on my watch. Mine.
You're too much, man.
You can feel that they care about each other, and you can feel that they've been doing this partnership for a decent amount of time. I'm not going to say like years and years, but you can tell that they've gotten a groove to themselves. You know what I mean? Like, they know how to Spider-Man together as one. And I love that. And it just goes to show that, like, we are in a uncharted territory with what Insomniac's doing with this story here, because we haven't seen anything like this. You know what I mean? Like, when they first announced that back in 2017, that this Peter Parker was going to be an older Peter Parker, a more, well-rounded Peter Parker, as opposed to dropping him in high school, and that's where we're going to pick up with the story, I was amazed. I was absolutely amazed. I'm like, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. We've seen this stuff. The fans of Spider-Man have seen his origin story so many times. We don't need that. And we want a raw human story, but also a superhero story. And Insomniac understands that, man. They get it to a T. Now, as we're talking about the story, let's kind of mosey our way over to this part of the conversation here. Now, one aspect of this that is really going to throw this on its head, and this is something that has already been covered. We've known about this for years at this point. Harry is now back in New York City, and he is, going to chop it up and talk with his old friend Peter. And what that means is that we're going to see a Peter that we have not been able to see in this entire time since 2018, since the launch of this game, and that's Peter with his best friend. Like, yes, Peter is still the same Peter. It's not like he's different, but there's something about hanging out with your best friend that brings out the kid in you, and I feel like we're going to start to see that more and more as the story progresses, depending on how this story goes. You know what I mean? Because Insomniac has quoted saying that this is about to get dark, and as we know, the black-suited Spider-Man, he gets dark, so we'll have to see. But I am very excited to see where this Harry and Peter relationship goes, because it definitely is already throwing the story that I thought I knew on its head. You know what I mean? And I'm just excited. I'm excited. As you can probably tell, I just want to know exactly where this goes. I want to get the black suit, if I'm being honest. Like, that's first and foremost. I really want to get there. I don't know how long it's going to take. I haven't seen anything on socials, online, or anything about that, about how long it should take you to get to the symbiotic suit. I'm not worried about how long it takes. I just want to get there. But there are some other suits as well that just regular suits that you can get just, for in the suits section. I want to get them because I've been wanting to play as these suits for a while, and I don't want to spoil it because I was already spoiled on one of them by watching a Game Ranks video. I'm not saying that to throw shade at them. I am saying that because it is a fact of the matter, all right? But let's again, words. Why am I can't get this out, guys. Anyway, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get off of here and play this damn game. Anyway, let's end with missions and side content here. Main missions and side content, because the set pieces in this, guys, they're a step up. They're a step up. Honestly, it feels like everything in this game is a step up from what we got before, while also feeling so similar. Like, when you first get into combat, it feels like riding a bicycle. Even though you haven't played, I haven't played Spider-Man. Well, let's take that back. Let's rewind, because I have played Spider-Man on the Steam Deck, and very similar. They're the same controls on the Steam Deck that they are on the PlayStation. And obviously, I've gone back and forth to Spider-Man over the years, so it's not like I am just not privy to this at all. But I mean, I've been playing other games, you know what I mean? Playing Starfield, I've been playing Cyberpunk, and completely different control schemes. One of them's on a completely different console altogether. So, I still get to say that, you know what? it still felt like riding a bicycle, hopping right back into Spider-Man 2. And I will even say this, even adding the web wings, for a second I forgot what button it was, and then my mind just immediately went to triangle, because that's the button that it is. You know what I mean? So like for a second, I was like, what button is it? I pressed triangle, and that was it. I was like, golly, it's like they thought about this. You know, it's kind of like they make games for a living, and they know what our gamer minds think. Anyway, so my point is, getting back to the mission content, they definitely are doing a good job here with this. I feel like the story is going to get a lot deeper, a lot quicker. You know what I mean? Just from how it started, I'm not going to spoil anything, but how it started, I feel like we're getting somewhere. And even so, even when it starts, there's still a lingering, collectible stuff that you can get from the initial start of the game, from that tutorial mission. There's still some stuff that you can get that will, I assume, continue towards the end of the game. You know what I mean? Or, depending on how fast you want to go and collect them all. But I think that's really cool. And again, it goes into play with how organic it feels. The first two games felt, I won't even say Miles, because Miles just kind of felt like you're going beat for beat. But I would say that, the 2018 Spider-Man game, it did feel organic, as in you're going here, then you're going there, and the city is changing around you as different story beats are happening, and it felt like it was an organic change. Well, this feels like that, but then, put up to 11. You know what I mean? Because we're seeing things flying around, and we're seeing all these different things happen in these missions, and just on the street, but then carry over to missions, and it's just like, what? So, for example, as I was going to say, so this is going into side content here, but as you are doing these different criminal activities, right? You're taking down these criminals that are doing, crimes throughout the city. You come across this gang of people who seem just to be like setting things on fire, right? They have an affliction with fire. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you. I don't even think Pete or Miles could tell you, at least not right now. Okay, so don't come for me. All right, guys. But anyway, my point is, they seem to be infatuated with fire, and they seem a little culty. Now, Miles was the first one to come into contact with these people, and then he said, I've got to tell Pete about this. Well, you go and do a side mission, and turns out the side mission that you go and do actually pertains to this cult that you've already had a hand in dealing with, just doing regular criminal activity stuff. So, like, that's what I mean when it feels organic, because I didn't know that was going to happen. I thought, it was called The Flame. I didn't realize that that's what it was. I thought it was, actually, no, it was. I thought it was doing something for the fire department, which I actually did. Like, the mission starts off doing something for the fire department, but then you find out, the people behind it are these people that you fought before on the streets. And I just love that. That's just one aspect within the first 5 hours where they're having through points. You're seeing these people on the street, but they're a bigger deal, and you're actually going to have to find out more about them and do some extra research to figure out what their deal is, what their end goal is, and then ultimately how to stop them. You know what I mean? So I'm very much enjoying, just swinging around the city, finding these different things, acting as a superhero, acting as Spider-Man. One way that I play these games, as I'm going to my mission or my main mission, I like to then, go off the beaten path. If I see a crime happening, 500 meters away, come on, I'm Spider-Man. I gotta go take care of that perk. You know what I mean? So that's how I play the game. And some people just play it and they just swing around the city. Some people just knock out the main story, but I roleplay the superhero, man. I roleplay the hell out of a superhero when I play Spider-Man, and it's literally Spider-Man specifically. No other superhero game, but this game makes me want to do that crap. You know what I mean? Man, I'm telling you guys, if you are still on the fence, if after this long, I don't even know how long this video is, but if you're still on the fence and you got a PS5, after this video, after listening to me ramble on about how amazing this game is, I don't know what to tell you. You just shouldn't be playing games then at this point, because I'm telling you, Spider-Man 2 is it. Spider-Man 2 is it. But guys, I think it's time to get you back, to your rooms and everything. So, as always, I've been your host, Jedi Master Ren. God, I keep hitting the mic. I've been your host, Jedi Master Ren, and I will see you next time on the halls of the Jedi Gaming Academy. May the Force be with you.